Hello and welcome back to Rue's Life, and welcome to this month's Ponderings from the Polytunnel. So we're well into January now, lots of bits and pieces going on. So we'll start with me. I'm not having a lot of luck with my health at the moment. Those of you that follow me will know that I had COVID. I was poorly on the 31st of October and I was quite poorly, and I've just never really recovered, and I felt well enough to go back to work. I wasn't testing positive anymore, but I was still just not right, and they thought it was likely long COVID, which it probably still is. But I've now developed costochondritis, which is really painful. Now, the problem with me and my chronic migraine is that I have to be really mindful of taking any kind of painkillers. I won't go on and bore you with it, but essentially I can only really take the ones that I need when I really need them, which are for my migraine, because taking anything else, even paracetamol, can trigger migraine, and it does in my case. So I had a course of antibiotics, and I was also prescribed some pretty heavy pain relief because it was decided that because of the pain, so it's just really painful, particularly in my left rib cage, and I wasn't taking deep enough breaths, and therefore of course I wasn't expanding my lungs fully, and that further down the line would lead to complications and issues. So they hit me with some pretty hefty pain relief, which triggered migraine. So I've managed to wean myself off the pain relief, and it's nowhere near as painful as it was, but it's still not right. I'm off for some x-rays actually later today. But I'm bimbling along. I'm not at work. Well, I'm working from home, but I'm not on shifts. I just can't manage them, and I'm just doing little bits each day. But do you know what? I've said this so many times. Being poorly is, really gets you down physically, obviously, but also mentally. But being here on the farm and having everything I love around me, I know how lucky I am. It's hard work and determination that's got us here, but now I do feel so lucky to have everything I love all around me. So even on a day when I can't do very much, I can still, I've only got to walk across, and here I am in the Polytunnel. I can gently walk around the fields, just take my time. I'll be honest with you, doing things like feeding and watering and checking, it can take me up to 2 hours at the moment to do something that I would normally do in half an hour. But, I'm getting the right help, and it's just patience and time. I will get there. So all the animals are really well. The two big horses are now into their final winter grazing, and super happy. I haven't obviously been riding. They've got their thick winter rugs on. They're into that final winter pasture. It's actually quite mild at the moment, and there's quite a lot of grazing in there for them, so they just get their hard feed, their bucket feeds, and they're not on any haylage at the moment. But if it goes really cold, when we had that real cold snap a few weeks ago, they got some haylage as well. And Little Pony is in the top field, so they were all in together for a while it was really cold. Actually, we had a few weeks of it being really cold, so the big boys had been up there, and then he followed them up, so they had some time out together, and now he's up there, but obviously you can see them, and he's quite happy up there. We're lucky, we've got 10 acres here, and it's plenty. It's divvied up, but each paddock is a really decent size. I mean, they're not really paddocks, they are fields. So yeah, they're all doing fine. Sheep are really happy. They're now down in their winter pasture. I give them the occasional scoop of sheep nuts. It's more to just get them to come up so I can check them over and have a good look at them. They don't really need feeding at the moment. There's plenty of grass down there for them. Victor the tortoise, he's fine. He's slower obviously at this time of the year, but he's quite happy. He mills about and does a few bits and bobs. This morning he was in grumpy mode. He didn't really want to say hello, so I've just put some food in for him and left him to his own devices. And the doggies are fine. they're just bimbling along. Kay, as those of you that follow will know, she has got this heart condition. She's now developed her second, really essentially a life-threatening condition, which she was acutely ill, and we thought we were going to lose her a few weeks ago, and her days are really numbered at the moment. So at the moment she's on more medication again, but it is only that that's buying us some time. And I'm not going to dwell on it. I find it very hard to talk about it, but her days are numbered now. She's had a wonderful time with us. She's had far more days than she ever should have had. But yeah, things aren't looking great for little Kay, I'm afraid. But, she's milling about. And again, living here, it's such a happy place. And yeah, I'm not going to dwell on it. But every day she has, we make sure it's as happy and as comfortable as we can make it for her. So she's pretty much on palliative care at the moment. The garden here, the vegetable plot, you can see around me there's still a few bits and pieces going on in here. Not a huge amount. I have started sowing seeds, and I've got some more seeds to sow this month. And the rest of the plot is looking neat and tidy, and there's little bits and bobs, but not a huge amount at the moment. But it won't be long, will it? It won't be long before we're surrounded by beautiful veggie plants again, and flowers. Chris and I had a lovely festive meal. We had planned to do a game pie, but we'd forgotten we actually had a lovely haunch of venison in the freezer. So we actually had haunch of venison, which was slow cooked, and then all my lovely homegrown veggies, and it was absolutely delicious. Really, really enjoyed that. So things like walking and swimming and all those other activities, riding, obviously are on the back burner at the moment. I'm not able to do any of those things. I'm doing just gentle strolls around the farm and just filling my days up, really, just normal things like making sure I've got some logs in and the fire's lit. I can't sort of go out and carry 2 big bags of logs. Chris has been amazing and really helping me, but obviously, he's working and he can't do everything. So I will essentially just take a bag and put 2 or 3 logs in it and gently walk it back to the house and do it that way. So just things like washing the dishes, doing a bit of washing, a little bit of housework, that's enough in a day for me, really. And I'm doing a lot of sleeping, if I'm honest, but sleeping is good because that's your body's way of healing. Reading, now you would think that with being poorly, I'd have my head stuck in a book, but I think I've mentioned it in the last couple of videos. For some reason, my reading mojo has really left me, and I'm really struggling to just concentrate on a book. But what I have got is this lovely almanac, and it was a Christmas present, and it's absolutely lovely. It's full of all sorts of, all the things that I absolutely love. So it's got folklore, gardening, wildlife, wild flowers, the moon phases, you name it, it's in there, and I can highly recommend it. It's a lovely, lovely book. It's the 2023 version, and that I am enjoying. So I can just read little bits. It's interesting, it's informative. Some things I know, some things I'm learning, new things. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's a nice, easy book to read, and you can just pick it up and put it down, and you don't have to concentrate too hard. I have been watching a lot of my favourite YouTubers. I watched a lovely film the other day. It was called The O'Briens. It's just a really silly romantic comedy set in Ireland. Very funny, very poignant, and it was just, again, easy watching, and I really enjoyed that. And then I've treated myself. Again, those of you that follow me will know that we don't have a television, and therefore no television licence, because we don't need one. But it means we can't access the BBC iPlayer. And I was aware, because I listened to the radio, that the 3rd and final series of Happy Valley is out on the BBC at the moment, but it's also available to buy on Amazon Prime. So I've treated myself to that, and I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I'm really enjoying that. And I don't know about you guys, but I find, although I love the storyline and the plot, one of the things that draws me to that is in some of the earlier episodes. I think it was in the first series, there was some time on an allotment, and they also often sit out. She's got a beautiful garden. I really love the interior of their house, so I find myself looking at those kind of things as much as I do the storyline. So drop me a comment below if you're one of those people that when you're watching anything, film or series, your eyes are kind of drawn to other things rather than just the plot. Or maybe it's just me. So again, we're not really getting out and about. Chris and I had planned, I mentioned I think in my previous ponderings, that we were planning on possibly heading back to Erddig, one of our local National Trust properties, to see it lit up with the festive lights inside. They were going to trim the house, there would have been a tree and so on. We didn't make it, but there's always another year, isn't there? We have many, many happy times at Erddig, and also Chirk Castle, but we didn't make it back. So hence no pictures, I'm afraid. If I'd been, we'd have taken some pictures and I would have shared them with you, but there's always next year. My house plants, I'm not sure if I've ever shown you my house plants. So I've got an awful lot of spider plants. I had one, and obviously it's had multiple babies, and I've got those either in pots or well, they're all in pots, but either on windowsills. I've got a little area that I have some house plants on, including actually, now I never know if it's a Christmas or an Easter cactus, and I'd always assumed it was just when it would flower, but actually mine flowers both. So it's flowering a little bit at the moment, and there's a bit of a story behind that actually, and it makes me very happy. So my dad's mum had a beautiful, as you walked through the door, she had on a little side table this enormous cactus, Easter or Christmas, with the beautiful pink flowers, and I always admired it. And when I was quite a little girl, she gave me a little cutting, and tiny little cutting, and I had it in a little pot, and then I potted it on, and that is my big plant that I now have. So I think of her fondly whenever I look at it or water it or give it any care or attention. So all the plants are looking really good. Chris really likes succulents and cacti, and we have a row of those actually on the windowsill. They're his. Although, if I'm honest, I make sure that I look after them. So yeah, so they're all looking great, and it's so cheerful, isn't it? I'd love even more houseplants, and that's something, if we had a bit more space, I would probably have a few more. We do have some upstairs in the bedroom as well. I did mention in the last ponderings that I had a solstice celebration coming up. So a lovely lady, she runs, it's called Of the Forest, and she runs all sorts of lovely retreats and gatherings. And I went to a beautiful, it was a tea ceremony, there was meditation, sound healing, a sharing circle. I met some really lovely, it was for women, for the solstice, and she does activities for children and mixed events as well, but this was specifically for women, and it was absolutely lovely. I met some absolutely remarkable women, and it was about empowerment and our strengths and our weaknesses, and harnessing our strengths and celebrating who we are. We talked about what we were proud of, the things we were scared of, and it's just lovely to be in that environment. We all sat around. It does sound a bit hocus pocus, doesn't it? But it's my thing, and I try to get to as many of those things as possible, run by various people. Some of the ones I do are outdoors, usually in woodland and forests, and it was very healing. It was very good for me, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I met, as I say, some wonderful, wonderful people. So I'll definitely be going to more of her events. I want to give a massive shout out to two of my YouTube buddies. So Danny from the Grapevine Garden and Jane from Jane's Growing Garden. So I've known Jane for years, met up with her at various bits and bobs, Malvern, and we've done collaborations and bits and pieces. She's been here, and we had a fantastic day, jollying about and eating cake and generally laughing and being a bit silly. And Dan, I met for the first time in person at the Malvern Autumn Show, and we've gelled, and as a trio we're a bit silly and we're a bit giddy, But you know, they've kept me going over the last couple of months. I've really been feeling low, and they check in with me and we chat. And I just want to say a massive thank you to you both if you're watching, which I know you will be because you watch all my videos, and the whole YouTube community. You know, that's what's really kept me going at the moment. I've had some pretty low days and I've been feeling pretty sorry for myself, but a combination of you guys that watch, and I'm going to get mushy now, but thank you so much. You know, the interaction I get from you guys, and you know, sharing ideas and commenting on my videos and telling me all about what you're up to. I absolutely love it. And also the community of fellow content creators, predominantly gardening, but also other bits and bobs. It is such a lovely community. So I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you for keeping me going through some darker days. So I don't want to end, I'm trying to make that positive, but it's gone a little bit the other way. So I'm fine. I don't want anybody to worry about me. I say I've got a massive support network between you guys and obviously at home. I can do little bits here. Hopefully, you know, I'm going to get these x-rays today, get some results, and then we can progress forwards. So I'm just going to sit here with my cup of coffee. I love sitting in this polytunnel. I might pop the radio on for a little bit. I think I might have missed Woman's Hour. I love listening to Woman's Hour, especially Gardener's Question Time when I'm out here pottering. They're two of my favourite things. But I might pop the radio on for a bit, just sit and finish my coffee and just enjoy being here in the polytunnel. So as ever, thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, then please do, if you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up. Do consider subscribing and hit that bell so you will get notifications of all my latest videos. I know I'm repeating myself, but for those of you that might be new or aren't aware, my Wednesday videos are generally more about life on and around the small holding. And if you're here for pure gardening, so you probably won't have made it to the end, but my gardening videos are on a Sunday. That's just pure gardening. And also if you pop into my playlist, I've got everything grouped into various categories, so you can just dip in and out of the bits that you enjoy. And of course it's all free. So as I say, give me a thumbs up, pop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Subscribe if you haven't already, because it really does help my channel to grow. I'm super proud that in 2022 I went over 1,000 subscribers, and I'd really like to push on and maybe hit another milestone in 2023. And it's you guys that help me to do that, so thank you. So thank you for watching. Take really good care of yourselves. I hope you're well. Let me know in the comments below, as ever, what you've been up to, what you're getting up to in your gardens, what you're getting up to in life, what you're reading, what you're watching, where you've been, what you're doing, what your plans are.